The city hums with restless energy tonight, a pulsating rhythm of neon lights, car horns, and the low murmur of lives colliding in the urban sprawl. It's the kind of night where the air feels heavy with possibility, where every choice seems to teeter on the edge of catastrophe or salvation. In a dimly lit diner at the corner of nowhere and everywhere, a man named Jack sits alone, his fingers tracing the rim of a chipped coffee mug. His eyes are tired, haunted by the weight of a life that feels like it's slipping through his fingers. He's angry at himself, at the world, at the relentless march of time that's left him with nothing but regrets. Across the room, a woman named Lena argues with her phone, her voice sharp and brittle, cutting through the diner's haze. She's anxious, her words spilling out in a torrent of frustration as she tries to hold together a life that's unraveling faster than she can stitch it back up. The tension in the air is palpable, a storm brewing in the spaces between strangers, each one carrying their own private war. This is the modern condition, a world of restless souls, chasing dreams that feel just out of reach, battling the creeping dread that maybe, just maybe, this is all there is. We live in a pressure cooker of expectations. Work harder, love better, be more. But what happens when the pressure becomes too much? What happens when you're standing at the crossroads of your life and you realize you've been running in circles? Tonight, Jack and Lena are about to find out. Because sometimes, all it takes is one night tone, reckless, chaotic, beautiful night to change everything. Quentin Tarantino, the maestro of modern cinema, has built a career on the idea that life is not a straight line, but a series of explosive moments that shatter the mundane and force you to confront the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. His films, from Pulp Fiction to Kill Bill, are not just stories, they're symphonies of chaos, where ordinary people are thrust into extraordinary circumstances, and the choices they make in a single night can redefine their entire existence. Tarantino's philosophy is rooted in the power of the unexpected. He believes that life, like a good movie, thrives on tension, surprise, and the collision of opposites. In his world, a diner conversation can spiral into a life or death standoff. A dance can become a declaration of war, and a single decision can rewrite your destiny. "I'm interested in the moment when everything changes," Tarantino once said in an interview. That's what makes a story worth telling. For Tarantino, these moments are not random. They're the culmination of every choice, every flaw, every buried desire that's been simmering beneath the surface. His characters think of Vincent Vega's dance with Mia Wallace or the bride's bloody quest for vengeance are not heroes in the traditional sense. They're flawed, messy, human. They're us. And what makes them compelling is their willingness to embrace the chaos, to step into the fire and see what emerges on the other side. This is the heart of Tarantino's philosophy. Life is a high-stakes gamble, and the only way to win is to play the hand you're dealt with everything you've got. You don't need a lifetime to change your life. You don't need a grand plan or a perfect moment. You need one night, one chance to break free from the script you've been following and write a new one. Back in the diner, Jack's coffee's gone cold, but he hasn't noticed. He's replaying the last 10 years of his life like a bad movie. The job he hates, the marriage that fell apart, the dreams he buried under a mountain of what-ifs. He's a man who spent his life playing it safe, and now, at 40, he's drowning in the realization that safety is just another word for stagnation. Lena, meanwhile, is on the verge of tears. Her phone call has ended, but the weight of it lingers. She's a graphic designer, talented but underpaid, trapped in a cycle of deadlines and compromises. Tonight, she was supposed to meet a client who promised to change her career, but they canceled at the last minute, leaving her with nothing but a vague apology and a sinking feeling that she's running out of time. The diner's jukebox kicks on, playing a gritty rock song that feels like it's been pulled from a Tarantino soundtrack. The music cuts through the tension, and for a moment, Jack and Lena lock eyes. It's not love at first sight, nothing so cliché. It's recognition. the kind that happens when two people see their own desperation reflected in someone else. Jack stands, his movements slow but deliberate, and walks over to Lena's table. "Mind if I sit?" he asks, his voice rough but steady. Lena hesitates, then nods. What follows is not a conversation, but a collision, a raw, unfiltered exchange of truths that neither of them expected to share. "I'm tired of waiting for my life to start," Jack says, his words spilling out like they've been bottled up for years. "I keep thinking tomorrow's going to be different, but it's just more of the same." Lena laughs, a sharp, bitter sound. "You think you're the only one? I've been chasing someday my whole life. Someday, I'll get the big break. Someday, I'll be happy. But someday never comes." The conversation spirals, fueled by coffee and the kind of reckless honesty that only comes when you've got nothing left to lose. They talk about their failures, their fears, the moments they let slip away. And then, in a moment that feels like it's been scripted by Tarantino himself, Jack says, "What if we stopped waiting? What if tonight was the night we changed everything?" Lena stares at him, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about doing something crazy," Jack says, a spark of life flickering in his eyes for the first time in years. "Something that scares the hell out of us. Something that makes us feel alive." It's a ridiculous idea, but Lena's tired of playing it safe too. She grabs her jacket, and before they know it, they're out the door, into the neon-soaked night, chasing a feeling they can't quite name. What follows is a whirlwind of moments that could only happen in a Tarantino-inspired narrative. They steal a Carnot because they're criminals, but because it's there, and the keys are in the ignition, and for once, they want to feel the rush of breaking the rules. They drive through the city, the wind whipping through the open windows, laughing like kids who've just discovered freedom. They crash a high-end art gallery opening, slipping in with the confidence of people who have nothing to lose. Jack, who's never understood art, finds himself debating the meaning of a chaotic abstract painting with a pretentious critic, his words stumbling but honest. Lena, inspired by the moment, grabs a marker and adds her own flourish to a blank canvas in the corner, turning heads and sparking whispers. Later, they end up in a dive bar, where a tense standoff with a group of rough-looking locals nearly turns violent. But Jack, drawing on a courage he didn't know he had, diffuses the situation with a wild, improvised tale about a heist gone wrong that has everyone laughing and buying them drinks. By the time the sun starts to rise, they're sitting on a rooftop, the city sprawling out below them. They're exhausted, exhilarated, and changed. The night wasn't perfect, it was messy, chaotic, and full of mistakes. But it was theirs. For the first time in years, they feel like the protagonists of their own lives. Tarantino's films teach us that life is not about perfection, but about presence. His characters don't wait for the stars to align. They seize the moment, flaws and all, and make something unforgettable out of it. In Pulp Fiction, a single night of missteps and miracles transforms Vincent Vega from a hired gun to a man grappling with his own morality. In Inglourious Bastards, a single conversation in a basement tavern becomes a battle of wits that changes the course of history. This is the essence of Tarantino's philosophy, the power of the moment. One night, one choice, one act of courage can shift the trajectory of your life. It's not about erasing your past or guaranteeing a happy ending. It's about refusing to let fear write your story. For Jack and Lena, that night was their Tarantino moment. They didn't solve all their problems. Jack still has a job he hates, and Lena's career is still a work in progress. But they've tasted what it feels like to live without a safety net, to embrace the chaos and see where it takes them. And that taste is enough to change everything. So, what does this mean for the rest of us, the ones who aren't living in a Tarantino movie? It means recognizing that you don't need a lifetime to change your life. You don't need a perfect plan or a dramatic plot twist. You need one night, one moment where you decide to stop waiting and start living. This doesn't mean stealing a car or crashing a party. Though, if that's your thing, go for it. It means taking a risk, however small, that pushes you out of your comfort zone. It means having that conversation you've been avoiding, signing up for that class you've always wanted to take, or simply saying yes to an opportunity that scares you. The beauty of Tarantino's philosophy is that it's not about grand gestures, but about authentic ones. It's about showing up for your own life, flaws and all, and trusting that the messiness will lead you somewhere new. Because here's the truth. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the courage to act. Jack and Lena didn't wake up the next morning with all their problems solved, but they woke up with something better, a spark. A reminder that they're not just cogs in a machine, but storytellers, capable of writing their own endings. And that spark is enough to carry them forward, one night at a time. The city is still humming as the first light of dawn creeps over the horizon. Jack and Lena are back in the diner, their faces tired but alive. They don't know what comes next, and for once, that's okay. They've learned that life isn't about having all the answers, it's about asking the right questions and being brave enough to chase the answers, no matter where they lead. So here's the challenge. Find your night. Find the moment that scares you, excites you, makes you feel alive. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be forever. It just has to be yours. Because in the end, as Quentin Tarantino reminds us, the only stories worth telling are the ones we have the courage to live. Go out there and make your night count.